Now, with a reaction to this, Ohio Republican Congressman Warren Davidson, a former U.S. Army Ranger. So we're hearing these reports, including from the New York Times, saying that Speaker Pelosi is indeed going to visit Taiwan. Are you concerned?
I'm excited. I think it's great that the speaker is going to visit Taiwan, and I think it highlights something that, the Xi Jinping in particular, the hardliners in China, kind of always resent the fact that Taiwan was able to have some sort of autonomy and be very successful in their own right. Same, they hated Hong Kong. And fundamentally, life in China is very different under Xi Jinping than it was under Hu Jintao. And frankly, the whole revolution that Deng Xiaoping started that engaged the West is in jeopardy under Xi Jinping's leadership.
So what would be the benefit of her going? I mean, you say you're excited. What would be a fruitful trip for Speaker Pelosi?
Well, look, I was encouraged to hear President Biden say that he was re-engaging in Trans-Pacific trade negotiations. Hopefully, he learned all the things that went wrong with the Trans-Pacific Partnership. Frankly, candidates in both parties were opposed to the Trans-Pacific Partnership in 2016. And so when Donald Trump was elected, just as Hillary Clinton had promised to do, they ended negotiations on the Trans-Pacific Partnership. But trade with Asian countries is really important. You think about South Korea, that's maybe the most notable place where America's military made a difference, frankly, heavily against China. And you can see the contrast between North and South Korea sharply. Those shipping lines there are really important for South Korea, for Japan, certainly for Taiwan. But shipping is a huge part of what makes the Pacific important. And that island chain that runs all the way off the east of China is something that the Chinese government fears.
But obviously, with the speech that we're hearing from China, I want to say rhetoric, but that's not quite the right word to me, because it does sound very hostile, that this is a threat to play with fire. President Biden has not denounced the trip or really made any strong opinions about it. But he did say that the military has, quote, said that it's not a good idea right now for Speaker Pelosi to visit Taiwan. The Pentagon had warned against this trip. What do you make of all of that?
I agree that Speaker Pelosi should go. I would have gladly gone with her. And frankly, when you look at China's rhetoric, I didn't realize we were at war with China. Why would the speaker's plane need a military escort? We have commercial flights going there all the time. China's not intervened in Taiwan's affairs to the extent that they're not controlling their own customs and points of entry. And so I think that Speaker Pelosi should fully expect to travel there peacefully. And I think, let's look at who's provoking what when China's essentially making threats against the Speaker of the House. This is really, highlights how much of a difference Xi Jinping's leadership is from Hu Jintao and, frankly, the legacy going back to Deng Xiaoping of engagement with the West.
But in terms of the Ukraine conflict going on right now and the fact that Russia and China have been close allies for quite some time, is this the right timing? And what should the U.S. response be in light of those threatening comments?
Well, I think, look, we shouldn't be insecure about it, but we also shouldn't be bullied by it. We should certainly support the speaker's travel there, as we should with all kinds of Western companies engaging in Taiwan. It's an incredibly important part of the Western economy's supply chain. It is a big part of why, Western economies, not just the United States recently with chips, but European economies have also kind of tried to insulate themselves from some of the supply chain risk because a huge percentage of the commodity grade chips are made in Taiwan. I mean, U.S. still leads in manufacturing equipment. Our chip companies are the dominant companies in the world. But there are strong supply chains out of South Korea with Samsung, and of course Taiwan as well. They've all made major investment announcements for chip plants in the United States, but It's not like those are the only plants. There are strong investments in Western Europe and other parts of the world.
Congressman Davidson, I apologize. We have to go right now, but thank you very much for your time as always.
Yep, thank you.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.